The theft of someone else's written work comes back to haunt a writer during a time of success that has eluded him for so very long. Hello to everyone watching, and thanks once again for returning to RealScreenReviews.com. I am, of course, movie critic Nick Iacobucci, and our next movie review is the drama The Words. This film opened in limited release at the tail end of the summer movie season and to wide audiences on Friday, September 7, 2012, and it stars Bradley Cooper, Zoe Saldana, Dennis Quaid, and Olivia Wilde. This film comes to us from the directing duo of Brian Klugman and Lee Sternthal, and they are a writing partnership that sits in the director's seat for the very first time. Well, people, it is actually difficult to start or write this review because it's not a story within a story. It is actually a story within a story within a story, and I'm going to see if I can get that right. The Words sees on-screen author Dennis Quaid portraying Clay Hammond and reading from his novel entitled The Words. In this story, we meet up with a financially strapped couple named Rory and Dora, portrayed by Bradley Cooper and Zoe Saldana, and while these two characters are honeymooning in France, Rory finds a written manuscript. Now, this third story in the manuscript tells of a relationship between a couple during World War II, and that tale explores love and love lost during that specific time period. Okay, I think that came out correct, and I didn't think that it came out confusing, and for starters, I must commend the filmmakers because throughout this movie, never is it confusing in any way with the overlapping and/or multiple tales being told. The writing and directing duo of Brian Klugman and Lee Sternthal do a good job separating the three tales and layering them in such a way as to not have it come out in an inception or confusing mind boggle. The directors have also crafted a rather good-looking film, and that's from the interior of New York City to the exterior of France. Something else that they have done correctly is to assemble a quality of top-notch actors to bring to life the characters within this feature, and that would be whichever of the three stories that you are talking about. I actually thought that Ben Barnes shined as the film's best performer amongst the very talented cast. Now here's where I need to explain myself. The performances are good and the actors are above average, but the characters that they play are not. Bradley Cooper, who just mopes about the screen for quite a bit of time, was never solidly believable to me in this role of a man struggling with his inner turmoil. I have also found out that he is very good friends with the directors, and maybe that's one of the reasons that he was on board with this project in the first place. Now this takes me to the storyline and characters involving Olivia Wilde and Dennis Quaid. I thought that this entire plot point was completely unnecessary and was only present to bridge the gap of the other stories. To me, it always felt like they didn't have enough of a movie with just Bradley Cooper and Zoe Saldana, and because of that, these other two people were added to make the project a full movie's length. Also, these characters of Quaid and Wilde lacked any kind of emotional center to keep the audience with them. Outside of Ben Barnes, only Miss Saldana held her own as a character with some sort of substance. Now, I had other issues with The Words as well. I once read that Pulp Fiction started out as three separate ideas that were supposed to be three individual films, but then Tarantino saw that these tales could all be intertwined into one truly great feature. I kept getting that sense as I watched this movie, and this feature did not have the added bonus of the magical mind and pen of Quentin Tarantino. It did not flow as smoothly, and the film's dialogue, in my opinion, was substandard on a level with B-movies or TV features, which was kind of ironic considering that this is a story about a writer. I was also distressed by the fact that the best story of the three was the shortest, and other minor things were also bothersome as well. How about that Rory and Dora are supposed to be in a financial difficult time, but their apartment in New York City looks huge and should cost a tidy sum to say the least. This finally leaves me with the depressing and decidedly unoriginal score by Marcelo Zarvos. The music is nothing that I haven't heard before and defines the term melodrama. It doesn't add to the mood as much as it takes away or distracts from the feature altogether, and that was just one more issue in a feature that I had many to pick from. At just over an hour and a half, The Words felt much longer than that, and the reason is because of the lack of connection between the audience and the performers. This directing team has real potential to go on and do great things, but this feature is just an average stepping stone on the way there. This film is not all bad, and they work really well with the actors and set up a quality-looking feature. However, this movie completely lacks in the substance and emotionality departments. Nick's Real Screen Review is right down the middle with this one with 2 stars out of 4, and that's for the drama, The Words. Well, if you've enjoyed this review, please click like and give us a thumbs up, or subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure that I will be returning soon enough with more movie news and reviews, and until then, remember people, I'm not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you for your attention.